What is up, guys? It is Bob Blah Blah. Today I want to talk about the lag that you might have been experiencing in Modern Warfare 3 and kind of give you a brief overview of how this whole giant P2P network works. And I am not a technical guru or anything. This is just all basic information. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to kind of have an idea how this works. 'Cause a lot of people don't even know how the whole host system works in Modern Warfare 3 or on any peer-to-peer game. So basically what happens, and in this awesome Photoshop that I made, I know you guys are probably in awe of it right now. I'm demonstrating a free-for-all game. So basically you have 8 players. Everyone is connecting through one host. So what happens is the whatever master server system or software system Activision has or Infinity Ward has will select supposedly the best connection as host. And that's usually determined by ping. At least that's most people's theory. So and ping is basically the response time. So you would send a ping or a signal to an Xbox and it would come back to you, and that is your ping. And a good ping is like, let's say, 10 milliseconds. So almost no time at all. So in this case, the guy in the middle, he is host. So what that means is the entire game is basically running through him. All the information is. Obviously, the game is running on each of your Xboxes, but all the information. So if the guy on the left shoots the guy on the right, all that info is going to the host and then back to your Xbox. So historically, in old Call of Duty games, the host would have a huge advantage. And the reason is, since everything is going through him, he's going to have a few milliseconds before anyone else, based on his ping, that will allow him to have an advantage. So what would happen is the host would basically get 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 free bullets. So you would run up to him, shoot him, and he'd kill you. Because the first 2 bullets or 3 bullets that you put on him did not ever register because he's ahead of you in time by, let's say, 20 milliseconds or 10 milliseconds. That's a huge advantage, guys. So what happened with Black Ops is they put in something called lag compensation. Now, they haven't discussed it publicly. It's not something that's released, but it's very obvious. And the reason is all of a sudden, host did not become a huge advantage anymore. In fact, in a lot of games of Black Ops and now Modern Warfare 3, lag compensation actually punishes the host. For instance, in Modern Warfare 3, I hate being host. When I am host, I can feel it in the game. I can tell because there's a certain feel to how my bullets stop registering right away. And what I'll do then sometimes is at the end of the game, I'll back out. I won't dashboard. I'll back out just to kind of prove to myself I was host, because then you can see on the screen it'll say host migrating. So to explain that, guys, by the way, when you see host migrations, that's usually because whoever the host was backed out of the game. Now, if the host is bad enough, so if the Infinity Ward servers picked a really bad host, it will sometimes switch hosts based on that. It'll say, listen, this host is too bad, we're going to switch mid-game, but it usually takes a lot for that to happen. So most of the time, when you see a host migration, that is because somebody left the game. When you lose host completely, and the game goes back to the not back to the dashboard, but goes back to the pre-game lobby, that is when somebody dashboards or turns off the Xbox, and they happen to be hosts. So that's how dashboarding works. If the host leaves the game via dashboard or turning off their Xbox, then everyone gets sent back to the pregame lobby. By the way, guys, don't do that. We all do it sometimes. I'm guilty of rage quitting on occasion, but it's really rude, and I'll admit that. So back to host. So what lag compensation does is it basically measures the ping and then kind of tries to balance things out. Now, in theory, like most things, it's a really good thought. If you could have a system that got rid of host advantage, got rid of the connection advantage that some people have, because even without host advantage, if you have better connection than the next guy, you're going to have a better game, right? In theory, you should still be getting a free bullet or 2 on somebody. Well, what happens now with lag compensation, because it's not perfect, it will often punish the person with the best connection. And so, guys, when you have those games where you just feel like your bullets aren't registering, now keep in mind, sometimes it's just bad aim or better players. And that happens. Sometimes your aim is just off. And that's hard for all of us to take that for whatever reason, 1 game or 5 games, your aim is off. But that happens to all of us. So, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, I'll blame lag or I'll blame whatever. In reality, I'm just playing poorly. That happens. But sometimes, guys, it really is connection based. Now, there's a sweet spot somewhere, and no one knows what it is, where you can actually get this advantage. Basically, if your ping and your connection is just right, you will actually have an advantage over pretty much everyone, whether you're a host or not, because the main servers will give you a connection advantage. It will actually compensate for your lag, but it will actually overcompensate slightly, which will now give you an advantage over the host and over everyone else. And it does happen. There are demonstrable evidence of this, and I'm not going to link you guys to it because a lot of those videos give you tricks and stuff on how to beat the connection, and they're not really fair. They're actually, advantages. But there's actually visual evidence out there of basically bullets not counting because of this lag compensation system. Now, so the question I have, guys, is it better that they have this lag compensation, or should I just go back to the system where, you know what, your system was based on connection, or your game was based on connection, and the bottom line is if you had shitty connection, you were going to do poorly. Neither system is fair. Lag compensation punishes people with good connections, and that's not fair. Having said that, not having compensation punishes people with bad connections, which I think is at least more fair because, hey, you know what? That's life. If you don't pay for a good connection or you don't live somewhere you get it, that's bad. But I don't know, guys. I just want to give you guys this explanation so you guys kind of have a basic idea of how lag compensation works, how the P2P network works. And that way, next time your bullets aren't killing someone, you know, it actually may be your fault, but actually might not be your fault. It could be the fault of lag compensation. So if you have any other technical tidbits, if you're like a really smart guru, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Talk to you later, guys. Take it easy.